Hello everyone. I had planned to make a video with an actual script, breaking things down into bullet points and graphs and charts and videos and all these, fancy things, but I decided against that just because it just didn't really feel like me, and I wasn't able to be honest, as much honest as I wanted to be, and it's not really my style. I'm not a big YouTuber. So I wanted to explain the title of this video, but I just decided instead to go with a single video with two different parts within the single video. The first part is just a short, brief explanation, and here it is. I will no longer be developing any Arma content, and then Arma 3 content in the near future. This is something that I've been thinking about for a long time now. It's been kind of building up, and that's the announcement. If you want to hear more about my thoughts and reasoning, you can continue to listen. For those who are just kind of done and mad or upset, I understand. I don't blame you. I appreciate all the support you have given me up until this point, and some of you are very nice and very supportive, so I appreciate that. For the others who want to hear more of my reasoning, you may continue to listen. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It could be long. I have no clue. Like I said, I kind of have a rough outline of what I want to talk about, but I really don't have a script like I was planning on doing to keep it short and concise, so I apologize. I think it's good to start with how I first began.
For God's sake, Victor! Of course, it's a trap! If I was Cuba, I'd be ashamed of something so obvious.
Arma 1 came out November 10th, 2006? That was 16 years ago. 16 years ago now. And man, does that make me feel older. I was playing Half-Life mods at the time, like Zombie Master and other things, in school still. And finishing up school, I should say, high school. And it was an amazing experience. I fell in love with the series right away. I think it was, I can't remember which version I played, to be honest with you. I went out and bought the CD and popped it in my computer, installed it, and just loved. I immediately fell in love with the Warfare game mode. And it was such a fun experience. I just loved it. I started playing Arma religiously from that day. I think I got it. I don't think I got it in 2006, but I got it later after that. And I started playing Arma 1 religiously. I would use just the editor to make very basic missions in Arma 1. I didn't do too many, but I started just dabbling in missions. And mind you, I have never coded in my life, anything at all. Arma was the first one I began doing very simple coding. Back then, even understanding how mission SQMs worked or SQS worked was like insane to me. So 3 years later, roughly, I think Arma II came out. Yes, right here, June 17th, 2009. 13 years ago, Arma II came out. And again, I loved that game. I loved it a lot. I played that even more. I really started getting into scripting a lot more for Arma 2. I made more missions, no big projects. My memory is actually a little fuzzy. I made a few projects here and there, some zombie ones, some minor ones, nothing really impressive, I would argue. But just started getting more active in scripting because I love the idea, and I think Arma 2 continued I think the Warfare mode wasn't as great in Arma 2 if I remember, but it was serviceable. I remember playing a lot of Benny's Warfare, I think, as well, which was pretty good. I remember making my own stuff in Arma 2, really enjoying it. The modding scene, scripting scene, still playing it religiously. Let me take a look right now, actually. My Arma 2 hours on Steam. I have 871 hours in Arma 2. And I'm looking to see, okay, so Arma 2, I have 871 hours. Arma 2 Operation Arrowhead, I have 1,300 hours in. So I have over 2,000 hours, 2,100, 2,200 hours in Arma 2. I love that game a lot. Right? So I started coding and scripting more for that, for groups, making missions, doing things. And then Arma 3 comes out. I won't even go through all. This is not the section where I complain about anything, right? But Arma 3 comes out, and off the start, it was a rocky start for me. I don't think a lot of people remember in the beginning when Arma 3 came out how, at least in my opinion, how bad it was. And it's coming from someone who loves the Arma series. I know this was a hotly debated thing in the community, at least on the forums, where Bohemia could do no wrong, is how it usually Bohemia forums feels when I'm on there. I really didn't play it that much, to be honest. I messed around with it. I played a lot with the alpha. The game came out, played it probably for a few months, and then I didn't touch it really until Apex came out. So Arma 3 came out September 12th of 2013. So that was 9 years ago now. And hence the anniversary that just occurred for it. I'm recording this on the 13th of September right now. And then Apex came out on July 11th of 2016. So 3 years later. That was 6 years ago. Apex for me, and the code running up to that and after that, and the love they were putting into the game, the visual graphics update, coding update, they made it 64-bit instead of 32. They did a lot. The Bohemia devs gained my trust back. They put enough love into the game for me to come back and play it and mod it. And I started making things, and the biggest issue I saw with Arma 3 was the AI was atrocious. They have put a little bit more work into it. They broke some things, which I will touch on, which really drives me nuts. But they showed that they cared about the game more or less. Anyway, so that was, and then I spent essentially 9 years religiously coding for Arma. Off and on at times, but let's look at my hours for Arma 3. I have 8,150 hours in Arma 3 as an adult man. I want you to let that sink in there. I have 8,150 hours of Arma 3 playtime, coding and developing, and most of that is not playing. Most of that is making things for Arma 3. So imagine how much money I would have gotten paid if I actually was employed by them. Anyway, so that's kind of the history of the Arma series and my history with it. I enjoyed it most of all the way. Right now at this point, I actually had a scathing review of Arma 3 when it came out 9 years ago. And I actually removed it because they fixed all my complaints. And so I took it down because they actually did a great job. So good on them. So that was kind of it for my love of Arma. And then of recent times, let's get to why I'm really kind of halting now. So I really have these great ideas of what we want to do for Arma series. I do want to revisit VCOM AI and update it. I do want to finish making these Control the Island missions. I just so actually really love the idea of. That's what got me into Arma 1 in the first place, was the warfare game mode. I just want more depth and complexity with it, and I think you can do that with Arma. But as in the last couple, I would say probably a year, every time I would boot up Arma, my willingness to work on it just drained. I wasn't able to really push myself like I would before, and get as excited with things with Arma anymore. And I think that's for a lot of reasons. And so I'm going to go for some of those now, not in any particular order, just kind of as they come up with me, as I jotted them down, and I might come up with some more later as they pop into my mind. But number one, if I'm going to be really honest, is I got tired of dealing with Arma's poor AI and poor ability for modders and scripters to control the AI without intensive scripts. It's no secret that Arma's AI, or Arma's engine, is just old. That's why they're doing a new one, right? I'll get to that in a second too. It can't handle as much. Everything needs to be as efficient and well done as possible to make a complex mission or complex mod work smoothly. It's got to be to the point. It's got to be quick. You cannot, especially when it comes to AI, you cannot have these really heavy scripts running on them, getting them to do things that should be by default. And then talking about multiplayer, right? Multiplayer is a whole other can of worms. I think it's possible, but it's just not something I got so tired of wrestling with the AI. One of the big things, you can probably go back and look at one of my streams, is that I got tired of dealing with the vehicle AI. I shouldn't have to make a custom AI to get a convoy to work reliably. I shouldn't have, on one of their default maps, mind you, I shouldn't have to get special code to get AI to avoid obstacles in the road. I shouldn't have to get code to prevent AI from ramming trees in certain vehicles while they're not even in combat. So these are issues that I just got really tired of. I got really tired. One thing that really, really, really irked me out of everything. I mean, let's look at some ways I don't like the AI. The indoor fighting is awful. Not being able to control the vehicle AI, awful. Not really being able to control the AI and the aircraft and how they fly and do things, awful. You can do some small things, don't get me wrong, but if you want complete control of the AI, you don't get that with Arma 3. And that's always been that way, that's fine. But I got tired of that as time went on. One of the things that really bothered me is that how Bohemia at some point in the other, I don't know exactly when or how, it was during one of their AI reworks, as they broke the do move command. The do move command is a command you can use in Arma 3 that tells the AI to go to a spot and go to it now. Go. Get to this spot. Doesn't matter what's going on, I want you to go to that spot. It was nice because it was one command. You could use it to get them to go into a building in a certain spot. You could use them to get them to go to any position that could be path to. Okay? There were limits on it, but they could be path to, and they would just do it. And it doesn't matter if they're under fire. It didn't matter if this, that, or that. That doesn't work anymore the way it does. Put an AI squad under fire, give them a do move command, and the AI will not go there under a lot of circumstances, which creates a lot of issues where you have to check if the AI is there at that spot. You have to check if they're going. You have to disable AI components or things on them. So you get to turn off, like, say, their hearing, their sight, their ability to engage, their ability to target things, their ability to turn on their lights, whatever it is. You have to essentially disable them. Later in the VCOM development builds, I had to essentially disable, just for that one AI, put them in, I can't even remember the name of it now, I put them essentially in combat mode that made them just hold fire and not engage at all, which is dumb because then I had to add an extra function that would constantly check if there was an enemy in line of sight or close enough that they needed to fire at. And so you can see how this becomes problems if you add all these things together. And then now for every AI moving precisely or into a better way, you have to suddenly add a very heavy frame by frame or every other frame check on this AI. And so it just got to be overwhelming. No, it could be done. I've done it, but it just, these are just examples of, yep, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Why am I fighting this? This has not been fixed. And I really, at this point, don't even expect Bohemia to care or fix that issue because it's, they're moving on. So I think that's kind of an example, just fighting with the AI. And the AI is central to what I like to do and I like to play with, and that's going to come back later. Okay, so keep that in mind. And I think, so that's kind of an example, and this just ties into the larger idea. I'm just kind of tired of working on Arma. I've been doing Arma 3 alone for 8,000 hours, Arma 2 for 2,000 plus, Arma 1 for, that was before it was on Steam for me, so I don't know how many hours that I spent on Arma 1. Arma Cold War Assault, and Arma 1 kind of all those games together. I'm trying to even think. I don't know. It's had to accumulate to probably 12,000 to 15,000 hours on one series, and that's probably an underestimate if I'm going to be honest. I've spent most of my life has been with Arma, so Arma's been a big part of my life, right? Bohemia's been a big part of my life. So if I sound passionate at times, that's why. This is like a long-term relationship for me. And we're kind of breaking up right now. So, I'm just kind of tired of it. It's kind of like, Bohemia hasn't done anything bad. Arma hasn't done anything bad. Mostly, and I'll get to that. To me, it's like a bunch of minor annoyances that have led to our relationship just kind of stagnating. I'm growing as a person. I want more. And Bohemia as a company, Arma as a game, is not developing in the way that I'd like. Not that it's bad, but it's not going the direction I'd like. It's taking too long. I'm kind of done. So that's kind of how I explain that. So all this is I'm kind of looking at, man, I'm in this relationship that there's these things that I really want to be changed. I really want more control of. I want. So I started eyeballing over the past year, finally committing to learning an actual engine that control of. I spent research on Unreal and Unity as the two primary ones, and I decided I'm going to go with Unity. So for the past year, I've been learning Unity. I'm making my own multiplayer game right now, just for fun again. I'm not really having any big plans. It's just a pixel game. I'm having fun with it. I'm just learning a whole new engine where I get to have control over. Like, I just finished testing networking code, with relay and lobbies and servers, and having really good net code, and creating all, and working on AI and just a 2D environment, and having fun with that again, and getting to control how they move, where they move, all these things about it. And that kind of control feels nice. I went over to Unity and I was like, man, there's things that you can do in Unity that I just wish, even for Reforger, which we will get to later, that you can't do easily. But you can sure do it in Unity's engine super easy. All these little headaches that you deal with say, the Arma engine, you don't have to deal with other engines. So I went to a new engine. I'm like, oh wow, you can treat me nice. You're not a pain to do one small thing. It's like, oh, don't get me wrong, Unity has issues. I've run into them, but a lot of it, there's such a great big community around it, and a lot more freedom to do what I want. So that's been, going back to Arma has been really difficult for me. I have booted it up on occasion, looked at some code, but it's like, why go back? And I know that can kind of feel like a betrayal, because it's just, at this point, it's not doing what I want, and why don't I just take some low poly assets or this or that and make a Capture the Island game one day? I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but maybe I want to do something like that and learn how to do streaming of large terrains and this, and start playing with that myself. Right now I've been focusing on multiplayer netcode so I can learn how to do that. And so I'm just having lots of fun with that. So that kind of leads to, I think that sums up my biggest thoughts, and I can just ramble on. I think the last thing that I'm saving for the end here, and I'm going to call this the hot take section, the section that this is going to probably make a lot of people mad, and that's okay. I really, it's whatever. It's just me being honest. So we're sitting here right now with Arma Reforger was announced and hyped up. I can't even remember when. I let's see, just have checked out so much with Bohemia lately. Arma III Reforger was released in May. Let's just go by when it was released. It is sitting at, right now, as the date is recording, at 51% positivity rating. 51%. Let's look at Arma 3. Arma 3, this is the base game, is sitting at 90%. 90% positivity rating. Arma Reforger is sitting at currently 45 players, just on Steam. 45 players on Steam right this time. Let's look at Arma 3. Arma 3 is sitting at currently 7,000 at the same time for a 9-year-old game versus a game that came out in May. Now, I'm not going to get into the debates of, well, it's just a tech demo, it's just that, they just want help testing, it's not a real game. That is not how it is clearly marketed on their page on Steam. And I played Reforger. I have watched Reforger. There's only a lot of rumors, so I don't want to kick up rumors or things like that. There is a lot of issues with Reforger from an engine level up to just a pure game design standpoint level that worry me. That is hard for me to sit around and just hope that Bohemia pulls it off and does a good job. This pessimism comes from years of Bohemia making more and more consistently, not atrocious, but consistently worse and worse decisions when it comes to the Arma series. And I'm not going to get into all the details about it. I'm not here to just trash Bohemia, and tear them apart. But I, as a company, the direction they want to grow in is not a direction that I want to participate in. As someone who's spent probably, we'll say 13,000, 14,000 hours playing their games, giving them a crap ton of money, it's the direction they're growing is not the direction I want to be a part of anymore. And that kind of really ruined my emotional drive, because let's be honest, with coding and those things, a lot of that's emotional driven. I'm doing it for free. I don't get paid money. I think I've had a donation link for probably 11 years, 12 years, probably more than that, and I think I've gotten about $200. And I don't do this for the money. It's to showcase that I don't do this for the money. But but you got to understand, it's completely emotionally driven by what I want and what I want to do and what I want to do with my time. My time is the most precious resource I have, and I can't sit around and wait for Bohemia to hopefully not screw up Arma 4, if and when that does come out. I know Reforger is not Arma 4, I get that, but it is, they set it themselves kind of a test bed for Arma 4 for the engine. And if Arma 4 comes out and it's actually something that interests me, they avoid the pitfalls that I'm worried they're going to fall in, that's fantastic. I'm going to talk about those pitfalls of my worries, of why I have been deflated when it comes to Bohemia and the Arma series. I'm going to be just to the point and quick about it, because this video's going on long enough. So I think number one has to be, I'm concerned that they're making the game more action focused than sim focused. I am worried that they're speeding, what that looks like, I'm worried that they're speeding up the pace of the fighting and the gameplay, and it's straying further and further for what real firefights look like. And I know that can vary wildly. I've watched so much real combat footage, especially over the past 6 months. I've watched so much fighting footage from the past, from things, from Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, other areas of the world, and so many different styles of fighting, and reading about even just old school World War I to World War II fighting, and what that's like in actual battle. And when I watch Arma Reforger, it's kind of, as the kids would say, cringe for me. Watching people sprint around and play essentially what looks like a Call of Duty game. I think there was a video I was watching just recently that was kind of explaining that you can't play Arma Reforger like you play Arma 3, and it's okay that it's a different game, but it is not an Arma milsim game, if that makes sense. And that is not why I'm interested in Arma. That is not why I care about Arma. I want a milsim light or milsim game. And if Arma series does not do that, then I'm not interested anymore. I'm not loyal to Bohemia. I'm loyal to the product they make, and a good product, but I'm worried about the product. So that's number one, is it's the direction of the game itself is not where I want to go with. Number two is I have deep concerns about their engine, the lack of documentation for Reforger, and I know it's probably coming, but there's just, and if I was stubborn enough, like I've seen people doing it, I could learn how to mod it, how to code it, but I go back to the same argument, is why not just learn how to do Unity or another game engine, because I do this for fun anyway, so why not? So it really is just a decision of I really don't like Bohemia the way they're going, and I could tough it out and try to make Reforger more fun, more interesting, make the AI better. There's like no AI right now really, but it's just not worth my time. My time can be better well spent learning an engine which I can do anything I really want or I can think of, versus a engine where I am crippled and gimped by the development team that has lost, in my opinion, has lost touch with the original community. And that happens. Arma and I met 16 years ago. We met 16 years ago. We grew up together. We kind of changed. We were young. We were young I was a young company, younger company. I was a young guy. We kind of grew up. We changed. We grew apart, and that's okay. I wish the best for Bohemia. I don't like the direction they're going, but I hope that it works out for them. I really do hope, though, looking at the Reforger stats, that they wake up and that their lackluster forms for Reforger. And they kind of wake up and go, man, we really need to make sure that Arma 4 comes out with content, that it comes out with AI that is capable. It don't need to be, the amazing. They just need to be capable. They can drive, they can fly, they can enter buildings, they can do formations, make them seem semi-smart. We're good. They need to make sure the netcode is really good for Arma 4. They have a lot of things that they need to do. They need to slow down the pace of the combat, in my opinion. They need to make sure that, it's not, they better not copy and paste the combat from Forged Arma 4. So, we'll see. In the meantime, because Arma 4 is still my guess, and I sure hope I'm right on this, because if they release Arma 4 in less than 2 years, it's going to be bad, and I guarantee that. If they release it, say, in years to come with all these nice things, and it's a complete game, then I will probably come back, because I love Arma as a game. But Arma 3 is old and outdated at this point. I'm tired of fighting with the engine. Reforger is not worth my time to learn that right now for a game that might come out that I might not even like in Arma 4. So I think that sums up my thoughts. And I appreciate if you made it this long. I know this is kind of a rambling video. It's kind of a passionate thing for me because I really do enjoy Arma. And I will still play it, but I'm not looking to make for it anytime soon again. Until Arma 4 comes out, most likely. Unless there's a major change in Arma 3 somehow, which I don't see how. So, alright. Everyone, thank you for listening to this. I hope you're all doing well. I will still be, responding to things in the comment sections and things and try to be more responsive with that. I know this is not going to make people happy, or some people happy, but I hope you can at least understand where I'm coming from, and that I just am looking forward to making my own stuff now. Okay, thank you all so much. Goodbye.